Hi, I'm Kelly Shutnick, a book blogger and author coach. Today, I interviewed author Rob Samborn about his experience with marketing his book on social media. Check it out. I'm Kelly Shutnick, and I'm here with Rob Samborn today to talk about his books and his book marketing journey. So, Rob, we first met through somebody that helps you with some marketing, and I did a blog post interview with you, which I will link to in the show notes here. But and then we connected on TikTok. So I wanted to to bring you on and just talk about how you're using TikTok to market your book. So start I want to start first with you telling me about your books. You have one that you published last year, and then
Mhm.
you have another one coming out soon. And from what I understand, it's going to be a series of three. Is that right?
That is right, yes. So first of all, hi to everybody. I am Rob Samborn. And yes, so I have a 3-book deal with Touchpoint Press. And the first book came out November 30th of 2021. It's called The Prisoner of Paradise. And it's a dual timeline thriller about an American couple who travel to Venice, Italy, who get caught up in this whole kind of um, issue, you can say. So basically, what happens is the husband comes to believe that his true soulmate is not his wife, but a woman whose soul has been imprisoned in the world's largest oil painting for 450 years. His wife, he recently also had a head injury, so his wife thinks that he's suffering from delusions. He's completely adamant that this is all real and goes on a quest to learn more, and then discovers this ancient order that over hundreds of years has developed a method of extracting people's souls from their bodies, and then they imprison them in this painting. And it really is a real painting that's about 80 feet wide by 40 feet high and has hundreds of people in it. And the main character can communicate with one because they're soulmates from another life. And he has past life regressions back to a swordsman from the 16th century in Venice. And he will do anything to free her, but freeing her means liberating all of the souls. And the order claims that all of them are evil. So they'll never let that happen. So
Wow.
becomes kind of like this big sort of adventure thriller type book. And so that's the first one. The second one is called Painter of the Damned, which is a continuation of the story, but they both actually could be read. And Painter of the Damned comes out on October 25th. I'm also going to release a companion novella called The Swordsman of Venice, and that's coming out on September 27th. So that's a much shorter piece, and that actually, so because it's dual timeline, it's really nice because I can kind of jump back and forth at any point in time and continue the story from there. So this one follows what happens in the past in the 16th century, and that comes out on September 27th.
Okay, nice. So, do you know what the third book is going to be about yet?
Absolutely. So when I outline, I'm a big outliner. And when I outline the second one, I actually outline that together with the third book. So I did the entire thing. And it may go on beyond 3 books, we'll see. I do have some mechanisms in place to continue the story. So right now it will satisfy conclusion if I decide end 3, but it would also be kind of cool to pick it up if it continues. So yes, I absolutely know what's gonna happen in the third book.
Nice. Um, so you are a fiction writer, and you told me before this interview that you have a couple of speaking engagements coming up. So can you talk about that a little bit? How did you get involved in those organizations, and kind of what is your role there?
Sure. Well, the first that's coming up is from September 9th to 11th, and it's called the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference, or also Colorado Gold. And that's just a really cool writing conference. I'm in Denver, so it's going to be here in Denver. And the way I got linked up with them is, I believe it's been a while actually, but I submitted some ideas for presentations and they were accepted. So I'm actually giving 2-hour talks on one is on debuting with a small press, and the other one actually is on outlining specifically for thrillers, but it could really be for anything. And then I'm also participating in a couple of panels. And then the other event that I'll be doing, which is also in Denver, is called Readers Take Denver. And that's a brand new event that's going to feature tons of authors, some pretty big names like Heather Graham, L.T. Ryan, Robert Dugoni, and some others, Rob Samborn. And that will be March 30th to April 2nd. And again, with that, I also applied on my own.
So I could probably, I mentioned to you before this interview that I am not a fiction writer, and probably my biggest problem is that I don't know how to outline. Well, I mean, I could totally use your help with that, right? Like I'm like more of a pantser if I try to write fiction, and so it just comes out like from the beginning to the end, who knows what just happened. Like I just steer away from fiction writing, but I love reading fiction.
But you need to outline nonfiction too.
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that seems easier to me. I don't know. I'm just
I could see
not a
that.
fiction writer, but I could see how you could really teach people how to do that, because I think that's
Come to
really
my
helpful.
course.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. So like I said, we connected on TikTok, and I wanted to talk about that specifically. I actually just did a TikTok, I think this morning, talking about building community for authors and how important that is. And it sounds like you do that really well. And I think TikTok is one of the places authors can build community. Tell me about your experience so far on TikTok, and actually, and before that, I in the post that I will share below, I'll link to below, where I interviewed you. You had a long list of all the social media platforms that you're on. So people can find you in all of those places. But so you do TikTok, you do a lot of other things. So tell me about kind of your experience with social media in general and kind of why you got into TikTok.
Yeah, so I am on every social media platform out there. So TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and even Pinterest. I think that's it. And of course, I have my own website. I don't know if that counts as social media. Goodreads, obviously, I have a profile on BookBub also. And Goodreads is a social media platform.
Yeah.
So pretty much all of them. The only one I don't use anymore is Pinterest because I don't really know what it's for. I mean, I get it. Like if you're like, an interior decorator or something like that, and you want to have like this idea board, I think it's pretty cool for that kind of thing. But for books, I found like I'm just like posting things and no one's really looking at them. So I've stopped using Pinterest. And then, really they are all useful in their own way. I do think it's really important to have a presence out there and to reach as many people as possible. Now, that said, it can be very overwhelming and extraordinarily time consuming. So in the beginning, I was really like just posting everything everywhere. And then I started to realize, okay, well, certain types of readers or people are going to be on one versus the other. They may be, a little bit more responsive to certain types of posts or news or that type of thing. So I've become a little bit smarter and more selective about what and when I post to what particular platform.
Sure, and where you spend your energy.
Yeah. So like Twitter, for example, I found curiously is, I guess, still better for pre-release for some reason. Like the writing community on Twitter is huge and very strong, but it definitely seems like it's much more powerful as a tool when you're currently writing pre-release, unless you're this big author or any type of celebrity who has this huge following, right? Instagram seems to be a little bit more useful post-release. And I do think that the response rate is better after release on Instagram. And then Facebook is really good for both probably, but probably a little bit more post-release. Like I don't really do too much with the writing community on Facebook. It's definitely much more readers, especially the people who follow me. First, I should preface what I'm about to say that I like to write what I like to read and watch. But the majority of my readers are women who are probably over 55. And that is also kind of the majority of the people on Facebook. So that works out well. Now that said, it's not, my book is not designed or geared towards that particular audience. And really, honestly, I think anybody over the age of like 16, male, female, or any gender, would actually be really into it, because a lot of the reviews say like, oh, there's something for everybody, and that honestly is kind of true. And that's one of the reasons why I do like to be on TikTok a lot. Obviously it skews way younger, so I do want to get the younger audience. It's really important to me. And the other thing is, I think it's actually just a really fun platform to create things on. The
Yeah.
music library is phenomenal. It's, the of every single video I've ever done, there was one time when I wasn't able to find the song that I had in my head that I wanted to put on. And that was actually coincidentally the most recent video that I put on. And believe it or not, it was a Taylor Swift song, and they didn't have that. So I ended up going with Billie Eilish. But yeah, but
Yeah.
it's incredible. I mean, if you have just a song that you think that you might want, that might fit the video, 99% of the time they're going to have it, which is incredible to be able to have like these 30-second to 1-minute clips of music that in the past you would have had to pay tens of thousands of dollars to license. So I do think that that's really cool. I think their editing is pretty good. It could be a little bit better, but it's easy enough to use. And then I get a really good response rate with everything I post, so that's nice.
Yeah. So where do you feel like you get the most where do you feel like you have the most impact, as far as like whether it's results, engagement, which social media platforms do you feel like have been the best for you? You mentioned Facebook, and I think you're right. I mean, if that is where your reader is, like that may be the place where you're going to be able to reach them the most. It may be harder on TikTok, although I have shared before the demographics on TikTok, and yes, there is a younger demographic, but there are I don't remember the breakdown, but I want to say like at least 40% of the users on TikTok are 30 or 40 plus. So there's a lot of out of a billion users,
sure.
there's still a lot of
right.
over 50 women on on the platform.
Of course. And also, and the flip side to that is there are still, even though you meet people all the time who are younger who would say like they wouldn't touch Facebook if it killed them. And the flip side is, you meet older people who have no idea what to do on TikTok. But the reality is that there's all ages on both. The writing community on Facebook is huge. It honestly is probably, I shouldn't say probably, there's no question that it's bigger on Facebook than on Twitter or any other social media platform, because you have groups. And it's the only, some other platforms have groups, but nothing is like Facebook groups, or even close to it. Maybe LinkedIn, but that's more for nonfiction. But for fiction writers, Facebook by far is the most popular platform.
Yeah.
Regardless of age,
And do you see that as far as anything you post on Facebook? Does it get more, do you see more results from those posts on Facebook?
I would say, yeah. So in answer to your question, TikTok definitely gets the most views. Instagram, I probably get the most likes on posts. And then Facebook, I probably get the most engagement.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
Now that's just me, but.
Do you?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just a quick thought about that, which is kind of interesting, is that I do, and I'm talking, when I say Facebook, I'm talking about my Facebook author account. I have a personal account as well, but I'm not talking about that. But on my author account, when I post, I do use hashtags, but I don't know how effective they are on Facebook. But I'm also hearing that hashtags are kind of not really that effective that much anymore. But I also don't know of how true that is, because if you're just scrolling through, and there's an interest, something that you're interested in, it will still work. So
so now I forgot the other question I was going to ask you.
Sorry, my fault.
No, that's good. I know what it was. So on TikTok, when you post on TikTok, you create the content there, do you end up repurposing that anywhere? Do you put your TikTok videos on Instagram Reels? Do you share them on Facebook? Anything like that?
Thank you for reminding me to do that, because I was absolutely doing that, and then for some reason forgot. And and I haven't done it with the past few videos, so I do need to do that. I'll do that today. I usually just post them on Instagram. So I'm not a huge fan of Facebook Reels. I'm honestly not a huge fan of Instagram Reels either. But it's just, like I was saying earlier, it just gets so overwhelming. And with Reels, it doesn't seem like you can really get as good engagement. I also don't love that like they go away so quickly. Sometimes I want to spend a second or two looking at it and then I have to go back, and sometimes for whatever reason they disappear. But yeah, so I don't post them as Reels typically, but I do post them as videos.
Sure. One of the things I saw this week it was a social media, expert on TikTok, who said that TikToks right now it's harder to get the views now on TikTok than it was a couple of years ago. And I don't know how long you've been on TikTok. Have you been on for more than a year?
Probably just about a year.
Okay. Yeah. So, a couple years ago, it's like you could post something and it would just go to hundreds of thousands of people, where now it's harder to get that reach, but they said how Instagram Reels Instagram is just kind of, I don't know if struggling is the right word, but just in general trying to figure out, their place and how to compete. And so if you take your TikTok and you repost it on Reels, you can get a lot more views on Instagram than you're getting on TikTok.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true. I sometimes I'll repost. So I'll repost my TikToks either on Instagram Reels or on YouTube Shorts, or I'll kind of try some different things. And sometimes like one video will just take off on one of those platforms where it didn't do well on TikTok, and other times it does really well on TikTok and doesn't on those other, so it's like, who knows?
Yeah. And by the way, I also have a YouTube channel, and I have posted on it, but I didn't really get too much traction. So that's why I completely even forgot to mention it. It's because I've stopped using it. But I think YouTube is pretty awesome for videos. And yeah, so I need to do that. I did also hear that if you repost stuff from TikTok onto Instagram, particularly if you use licensed content, they may take it down.
Yeah, that's always the challenge, is if I do use a sound, then I have to figure out, like, is the sound on there too? Or, sometimes it's not worth, in my opinion, the effort of trying to figure out how to make it work on the other platforms, because also the length matters. So if I do a video on TikTok that's, 2 minutes, I can't post that on Shorts. I don't think Reels either. I think it has to be under a minute for Reels also. So it's just a lot of like juggling these details, and figuring out where you can get the most, the most out of your content. Actually, another one I've tried is Pinterest, and reposting my TikToks on Pinterest. So that's one, if you're exploring Pinterest. And
I didn't even know that you could post videos on Pinterest.
Yeah, that's something I've been playing around with recently.
And do you get engagement on that?
Yeah, some of them do, but I'm just playing around with it right now, so I don't really have good advice on it. I'm just kind of testing it and to see how to make it work, and where they click, if they click, where do they go?
I don't know anybody who regularly uses Pinterest, or at least no one ever talks about it.
Yeah, well, I think if your demographic is women in their 50s, it may be a place. Women who are pinning, design,
sneak it into the interior decorating.
Yeah, I don't know.
Put this on this book on your shelf.
Yeah. Well, so in general with TikTok, have you felt like you're building your community there? Do you feel like you've gotten connected with Book Talk, or kind of what would you suggest to new authors who are exploring the platform?
Yeah, so a fair amount. Now that I think about it, I've been on TikTok a little less than a year. I would say probably like 10 months. I forgot exactly how many followers I have off the top of my head, but I think it's probably about 350. Not a huge amount, but I also don't actively try to get followers either. So I think that's a reasonable number for that. And then, the Book Talk community is really strong and interesting. I was talking about how the writing community is really strong on Twitter pre-release. I also think it's very strong on TikTok as well, pre-release, as well as post-release. So it's good for both. Now, and I have, connected with a number of people, so I think that that's pretty cool. I generally find the writing community to be phenomenal
Hmm.
across the board on any platform in any respect, virtual or in person. Writers are incredibly supportive of one another. There's
Hmm.
definitely this collective feeling that we're all in the same boat, and also that a rising tide lifts all ships. I know we're both in a landlocked state, but I like using seafaring metaphors. So I'm originally from New York, and I also lived in LA for a really long time. So I'm more used to coastal stuff. I need to switch metaphors to mountain. But anyway, we're all climbing the same mountain together and trying to
Right.
reach the
Yeah, there
peak.
you go.
And we're all hooked. We're all hooked to each other. So I do find that to be the case no matter what on any platform. Now, what's interesting about TikTok for the writing community, which what I feel like, so like book talk is basically there's two sides of it, right? It's people who are currently writing and people who are trying to market or promote their books,
Yeah.
right? For the most part. And the people who are currently writing, I don't get any flack for this or get under people's skin, but a lot of the videos out there generally either have nothing to do with writing or it's the exact same thing that every single person is doing. There's a lot of like, look at me, I'm drinking a cup of coffee today before I start typing. And somehow those get like 50 likes. Um, or the other thing that absolutely refuse to do, and I apologize, I didn't check your account. So if you have done this, don't get mad at me.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
personal
Got it.
preference. I'm really not into those voiceover videos at all.
Okay.
Maybe it's my age or whatever, but I think they're just overdone. Like in the beginning, they were fine and cool and cute, but now it's like people just look for these clips and then they mouth over the words and show a book or something like that. And it's just like, my God, it's like everyone is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so that goes to the point of like the side where if you are marketing or you're promoting your book, does it really lead to sales? And I do look at people's accounts who have like tens of thousands, even sometimes 100,000 followers, and then I'll go check their sales on Amazon, and and they'll get hundreds of likes on
Uh-huh.
these videos, but it doesn't really look like it's leading to that many sales.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you tie any kind of TikTok content to sales for yourself or any other social media platform?
I do sometimes see minor upticks when I post, but generally, honestly, not. However, I'm a very, very big believer in brand awareness and brand recognition.
Hmm.
So, and it's certainly possible, there are stats out there where that say like people need to see something 40, even like 100 times before they actually make a purchase. And
Right.
I think that that is true.
Hmm.
And I'm still debut author. I'm not Stephen King, obviously, not everybody knows me. So I do think it's important to just get your name out there, get your book titles out there into the ether, and the more people who see it. And it very well, I do honestly think that it's like 1 in 1,000 on social
Hmm.
media, other than the
Hmm.
people who know you or whatever. But like if they don't know you, I think it's probably about 1 in 1,000 who make a purchase.
Yeah. So I love what you talk about the brand awareness, and have people have to see things a million times. But since you said one of your pet peeves with TikTok, I'm going to say one of mine, which is I will unfollow author accounts when the only thing I ever see is their book cover. Like I have had I there was one I connected with where it was like every time I would scroll, it was just like their book cover, their book cover, their book cover. It was like it takes a little more creativity than that, like
Right.
than just
I do
bombarding you with
do
your
a number
cover.
of book cover videos, and but they're not all
But
book cover.
you have your face in there too. I mean, I think showing your book cover, yeah, absolutely is important. But like you got to show your personality too, and I think you do that in your post. So I think it's a big part of promoting your book on social media is showing more than just your book. It's showing yourself and and for you, like you do some speaking, so you could do TikToks, teaching people. I mean, you have
That's
something
true.
to
Yeah,
be
maybe
able
I'll
to
do
teach,
that.
um
Ironically, my last two TikTok videos were all book cover, but that's because they were book cover releases. So they were announcements. So like I had the Painter of the Damned cover, and then we actually changed the cover of The Prisoner of Paradise. So I wanted
okay.
to show that
Show
as
that.
well.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. I think I've seen votes where authors will have people vote on, this cover or this cover, or, they'll show like they have a new cover designed, or, there's lots of fun ways you can show your cover. It's just,
Yeah.
there was one that just is in my mind from recently that was like, it was the only thing I saw. And I swear they would post like 10 a day of just like, here's my book here, here's my book here, here's my book here. And I was like, no, like, show me talk about it, talk about your book, like
Yeah.
there's lots of other ways you can show your cover, or talk
Totally.
about your
And I
book.
had a couple of videos where I actually did ask the book talk community a couple of questions that were actually like plot related questions, which were totally genuine. And people did reply. Oh, no, they weren't plot related. Sorry, they were marketing related. I asked the book talk community what marketing catchphrases they preferred.
Yeah, I have found that I do polls on my TikTok. So I'll ask, I do book reviews. So I'll ask, once in a while, I'll have a book review request come in and I'm like, sounds good, but it's not quite my style. I'm not sure. So I'll ask the book talk community to vote, and they'll vote yes or no. And then if the author chooses it, I will review it. And if the community chooses it, I will review it. And if they don't, then I usually offer the author just the meet the author interview on my blog as a, because I hate down, but at the same time I'm like, I can't read every book, right? So but people love engaging in polls, or ask questions if you ask them questions or things like that. So those are
Totally.
always great ways to
And
increase
speaking
your
of
engagement.
covers, oh, I actually don't have one with me, but I should have had my
Oh
book.
darn, yeah.
I have the first one of the old cover. So this is The Prisoner of Paradise, but we changed the
Beautiful
cover.
cover. I love that cover though.
I like it. I still love it as well. The new one though is a little different, and it still has the same background,
Okay.
with the tear, and you can see Venice, but it matches Painter of the Damned a little bit better. So that's why.
Yeah. I've always thought your cover really stands out. I think, so
Thanks.
if it's even better, like that's
It's even
great.
better.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah.
even better. Yeah.
Great. Well, this has been fun, Rob. It's nice to get to know you even more than just on TikTok. But just to wrap us up, let us know where people can find you. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but where are the best places to find you if people want to learn more about you and your books?
Thank you, Kelly. And yeah, this has been awesome. So first of all, my website is robsamborn.com, and it's spelled like this, ROBSAMBORN. And then that is also pretty much my username for all the platforms. So TikTok, it is Rob Samborn, Instagram as well. Facebook, it's Rob Samborn _author. But if you go onto robsamborn.com, I have my social media links on every single page, including Pinterest.
Awesome. Well, I'll
take
include all of those links in the notes below also. And yeah, if you're not already following Rob on TikTok or me on TikTok, follow us. And yeah, we'll get updates on when the third book comes out.
Totally. Yep. So yeah, and again, Painter of the Damned is coming out on October 25th.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Kelly. Have a great day. It was great speaking with you.
You too. Bye.